Contract debate ends for Marquette teachers.
Murder trial begins in Houghton. I'm Hannah Schutzkus.
And I'm Katlin Connin, and this is your Public Eye News. The fight for a new contract is finally over in Marquette. The MAPS Board of Education ratified the new deal today. District teachers will be covered by the contract till 2016 and will receive a pay raise in the next 2 school years. Further details have not yet been released, but the contract passed 5-2. An Ishpeming man is headed back to court for sentencing. 33-year-old Robert Rajala was arrested in April and charged with aggravated assault domestic violence. The alleged victim testified at the trial that Rajala struck her in the back of the head several times before she was able to escape the house with her child. When police officers arrived at the home, Rajala refused to come out, leading to a 15-hour standoff. He was originally scheduled for a jury trial today in Marquette County Circuit Court, but the case was remanded to Ishpeming District Court.
The trial for Nima Nasiri, who was on trial for the second-degree murder of his wife, started yesterday in Houghton. The jury listened to 911 recordings from his wife, Sanaz Nizami, explaining that she was struck by her husband, and then another call from Nasiri, who said his wife was asleep and didn't need an ambulance, as well as testimonies from officers who responded to the scene. The trial is expected to last the entire week. Nizami, who was seeking an advanced engineering degree from Michigan Tech, died from injuries last December, shortly after arriving from the U.S. from Iran. A Bismarck Township woman has pleaded guilty in the death of her infant son. 18-year-old Kirsten Richardson accepted a plea deal Monday, where she admitted to third-degree child abuse, which was reduced from a second-degree charge in the agreement. Richardson's boyfriend, 18-year-old Joshua Tuff, is facing a first-degree murder along with first-degree child abuse, both of which he has entered a plea of not guilty for.
Birdwatchers in Detroit will soon have something to celebrate. The Detroit Audubon Society, the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy, the Detroit Recreation Department, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service have teamed up to create a new location for bird watching. The $12,000 project will include scopes for spotting wildlife and a panel depicting bird migrations. The birding spot will be located along the river in Gabriel Richard Park. The aim of the project is to reconnect people with the Detroit River and inspire an ethic of stewardship. And the respiratory and stomach bug that's sweeping the nation is getting a little closer to home. Doctors in Wisconsin suspect there are at least 9 cases of the virus in the Madison area. The suspected germ, enterovirus 68, is an uncommon strain of a common virus that usually strikes between summer and autumn. Samples from the suspected patients were sent to the CDC, and results should be back in about a week. Cases of the virus have been seen all over the country, and if a patient is seen wheezing or having a hard time breathing, he or she should see a doctor immediately. And after the break, we'll have your national and international news. Stay tuned.
An engineering triumph nears completion. At 104 stories, it is the tallest building in New York and perhaps North America.
It gave us a chance to rebuild better.
Nova chronicles the challenges of rebuilding the tragic site and the marvel that resulted.
Tower 1 is not a skyscraper. This is in another league.
Ground Zero Super Tower on Nova.
Join us Wednesday evening at 10.
Welcome back. A Georgia man who had engaged a gun battle with police at an Atlanta school has pleaded guilty to multiple counts and has been sentenced to 20 years in prison. Michael Brandon Hill had entered the Ronald E. McNair Discovering Learning Academy in Decatur on August 20th, 2013, with a rifle and 500 rounds of ammunition. He exchanged gunshots with police from inside the school before being persuaded to surrender. It's a major discovery about why breast cancer is more aggressive and deadly in some women. As WWL's medical reporter Meg Ferris explains, it's a risk factor that can be changed.
The discovery by Tulane researchers give us new insight into why breast cancer acts differently in some women.
No one understands what's going on, but with cancers, the higher the level of obesity, the greater the incidence of some of these cancers are.
Prostate, colorectal, esophageal, and breast cancer are all higher in people who have obesity. And now Dr. Bruce Bunnell and his team have found that those cells that repair damage, called stem cells, are changed in the fat of obese women.
So what happens in the context of obesity is you get chronic inflammation, and you get high levels of chronic inflammation. As we started to do our normal experiments on cells from obese individuals, we found that they didn't function as well.
So what they found is that the stem cells in obese women can cause the breast tumor to grow faster, be more aggressive, and spread more easily.
So they're trying to repair what they think is damage, and the tumor's saying, that's fantastic, you're keeping me alive, you're keeping me growing.
And studies show the correlation of breast cancer and high body weight is more prevalent in postmenopausal women, women who don't have their hormones. It's not as common in women who still do have their hormones. Now Dr. Bunnell and his team are taking the next step. They're looking at what chemicals cancer tumors are using to exploit a person's stem cells in hopes of finding a way to block them or kill the tumor. Meg Ferris, Eyewitness News, Medical Watch.
Rival factions in Northern Ireland's unity government are accusing each other of bias. The dispute came up after Drew Harris, who arrested Sinn Féin party leader Gerry Adams, was promoted to the force's second highest post. Adams spent 5 days in lockup in May over his alleged role in the 1972 Irish Republican Army abduction and the murder and secret burial of widowed 38-year-old mother and 10 children. Adams denied any involvement and was released without being charged. Sinn Féin resigned from the selection committee after others supported today's promotion of Drew Harris to Deputy Chief Constable. President Obama heads to Alabama this afternoon to get a briefing from the Center for Disease Control on the Ebola outbreak. The president is expected to announce he's ramping up the U.S. response to the crisis, which has killed at least 2,400 people in Africa. Marley Hall reports from New York.
President Obama is sending up to 3,000 American troops to West Africa to help stop the spread of Ebola.
Making an investment here early is critical to trying to snuff out this problem before it becomes a much more widespread problem.
Nearly 5,000 people in West Africa have contracted the virus since March, with the biggest outbreak in Liberia. The World Health Organization warns the number of new cases could start doubling every 3 weeks.
This is a very large epidemic. It's going to take a lot of effort over a long period of time. This is not going to be over quickly.
The United States also plans to send an additional $88 million for equipment and supplies, set up 17 treatment units with 100 beds each, and train up to 500 medical workers per week.
What we say is train the trainers, right? Train the local people so that they can do all the work.
But it may not be enough. International aid groups like Doctors Without Borders say the global response has fallen short of what is needed. Marley Hall, CBS News, New York.
The saying, "a picture's worth 1,000 words," certainly applies now as a photoshopped CoverGirl ad has made waves all over social media. CoverGirl, the official beauty partner of the NFL, had released a series of ads encouraging female football fans to get their game face on, with looks inspired by the 32 NFL teams. However, in response to the Ray Rice debacle that has shook the NFL last week, the Baltimore Ravens ad had to Photoshop the look to make it look like a gruesome black eye, giving the phrase "get your game on" a whole new meaning. The image went viral, combined with the hashtag Goodell must go, calling for NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to resign from his position. And we'll be back with sports and weather after the break.
Next time on The Roosevelts, Franklin Roosevelt is stricken with a mysterious disease.
His legs felt funny and he felt feverish, and he went upstairs to go to bed, and he never walked without help again.
But will his secret keep him from the White House?
I pledge myself to a new deal for the American people.
Part 4 of The Roosevelts, An Intimate History.
Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Dane Wurmlinger with your weather. As you can see behind me, the Academic Mall in Northern Michigan University is looking just fantastic. Sunny skies, and all the students are out enjoying the nice weather while they still can. Right now, it's about 65 degrees in Marquette, with winds west at 10 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure holding at 30.01 inches. Tonight, you can expect partly cloudy skies with 47 degrees as our low, with winds north-northwest at 6 miles per hour. Tomorrow, you can expect cloudy skies with our high of 56 degrees and winds north-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Let's look around the UP. Right now in Sault Ste. Marie, we can expect 61 degrees, 60 degrees in Manistee, Escanaba at 63, and Menominee at 64 degrees. Iron Mountain right now is at 65 degrees, Ironwood at 64, and 61 degrees in Houghton. And back here in Marquette, we have a beautiful 65 degrees. Enjoy it while you can. Looking ahead, on Wednesday, we have a high of 56 degrees and 39 degrees as our low. We have cloudy skies. Thursday, we have a high of 54 degrees and our low of 43. It will be sunny. Friday, we have a high of 63 degrees and our low will be 58 degrees. Unfortunately, it will be rainy. Well, at least weather's doing pretty good. How's sports?
Oh, they're definitely heating up right now. Over the weekend, Floyd Money Mayweather won his rematch bout against the powerful Marcos Maidana. Mayweather landed 51% of his punches, while Maidana only landed 22%. Mayweather, who is facing Maidana for the second time, took an obvious, much less punishment in this last bout. The judges ended up scoring the fight 116 to 111. 116 to 111, and 115 to 112. This being the most recent of Mayweather's undefeated streak, we should see much more from the most powerful man in boxing. Even though they were out of the city of brotherly love last night, the Philadelphia Eagles were definitely feeling the love in their win over the Indianapolis Colts. Nick Foles, who went 21 for 37 on the night with 331 yards and a touchdown, used his arm and his running backs well to lead a team to victory. Andrew Luck, who helped his team to put up a fight through an interception with just 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. The final score was Eagles 30 to Colts 27. Adrian Peterson, who is already facing felony charges in Texas for child abuse, was accused in a previous incident involving his 4-year-old son. Peterson, who apologized in a statement on Monday, saying he didn't intend to hurt his son and is very sorry for the hurt he has caused his family. When asked what he had hit his son with to leave a scar, he deferred the question and later stated in a text message that if his son would have been still, he would have saved himself the scar and that he is all right. He faces a 2-year jail sentence and a $10,000 fine if found guilty of negligent endangerment of a child. Peterson, who was inactive for this weekend's game, has now been placed on the activated list and is expected to play in this weekend's game. So I hear our nation's capital got a special gift from our neighbors to the north.
Absolutely. Want to buy a used bike? How about 250 of them? Washington's Capital Bike Share program is getting a bunch of new, old bikes. The bikes are coming from Ottawa at a discount. The Canadian city is planning a new bike sharing system based on different technology. So WTOP reports DC Bike Share is buying the bikes along with all 25 of Ottawa's old docking stations. Capital Bike Share has more than 22,000 members. Cannabis City is Seattle's only licensed recreational pot shop, and the police report and the staff at the legal pot store called officers to report a dealer trying to poach customers. Workers say the man was selling weed out of the back of his Buick and was handing out business cards. Employees at Cannabis City say the pot dealer threatened to stomp a worker who had confronted him. Police added the man had left by the time officers had arrived. This has been your Public Eye News. Have a lovely evening.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.